You've started the recording?
I just now started the recording, so feel free to go ahead and start your introductions.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Moody, Chair of the CAR Professional Development Committee, and I welcome you to our May Latte and Learn. And today we are focused on the Crozet Downtown Initiative and Park. And I want to thank our sponsor for this session, Blue Ridge Financial Services, and Tim Morris is here to say a few words.
We are. Uh, First and foremost, it's great to be here with you guys today, and we appreciate your time. Want to tell you a little bit. I am the owner of Blue Ridge Financial Services, and my partners are who are with me today, Chris Bowen and his son Bobby Bowen. They're waving. We're all waving. Um, and so we just want to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about what we do and maybe jump into a couple specifics, and then we'll move on with our day. Um, at Blue Ridge Financial Services, the heartbeat of what we do is comprehensive financial planning. And there are three key elements to that. And for that success, the first being creating a framework for our potential clients and clients that really takes a deep dive into their financial lives, all encompassing. So very first important element of that. Second is risk management. The second element being very important key element because that aspect of the financial planning process really gives us the abilities to meet short-term and long-term goals for our clients. And then a third element that is very important as well, and that is having the ability to implement tax management, not only on a personal level, but everything that you do in your business. I think there's probably a lot of sole proprietors on this call today, and we are very much in tune with that situation from a tax perspective. So just a quick 30,000 foot look down, but I'm going to turn it over to Chris Bowen real quick to talk about a few things that we do specifically in the firm.
Great. Thanks, Tim. So we wanted to give you guys at least two specific things that we help clients with to help them save more and keep more of what they save. This is two very important parts, right? So you want to save more, and then you want to be able to keep more of what you save. And when we say keep more, we're really talking about reduction of taxation. And so, first of all, let's talk about how you save more. Probably every week or every month, we run into folks that are saving into an individual retirement account, an IRA. Raise your hand if you've heard of an IRA, right? Have you all heard of IRA? There's also what's called a simple IRA, which is an employer plan. Who's heard of a 401k? Or 401k, 403b, right? We've all heard of those. The big difference between an individual IRA and a 401k is how much you can contribute. There are other differences, but this is the one we're going to focus on. And so with an individual IRA today, you can save $7,500 a year if you're under 50 or $8,600 if you're over 50. Not bad. However, in a 401k, those numbers jump up dramatically. Under 50, it's 24,500, not 7,500, 24,500. And if you're over 50, as I am, it's 32,500 versus the 8,600 for over 50. So it's a much larger quantity. So if you fall into that camp where you can do that, that's obviously a big jump up. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm an independent contractor. Whether you're, like we are independent contractors under LPL Financial. Many of you may be realtors. As realtors, you operate as a broker. You're a 1099 is how you receive your income. So how do you do a 401k if you're not part of a large employer? Very simple. They have what's called a solo 401k. I might know somebody on this call who has one. But anyway, so the idea here is that a solo 401k allows one single individual person who is an independent contractor, broker, or even realtor, allows that person to save 24,500 every single year if they're under 50 and 32,500 if they're over. So that's number one, save more. Now, how do you keep more of what you save? Bobby, are you able to share that screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So The second part is Roth. Most of you, if I said, hey, do you know have you heard the word Roth IRA? How many people have heard that term, Roth IRA? Anybody, Roth IRA versus traditional? So a Roth IRA is an after-tax IRA. In fact, what you do is you pay tax and then you put the money in the Roth IRA. Once it goes in the Roth IRA, it will never be taxed again. Never be taxed again. So if you put $1 in there and $1 becomes $2, $2 becomes $4, eventually $4 becomes $8, and so on and so on, you end up in retirement with this large chunk of money. And as you take money out, you pay no taxes. So $1 can become $8 and you pay no tax on that. And that's a way to pay less tax. What Bobby has done here is he's popped up a singular screen from one of the planning softwares that we use. And you'll see there's a blue, and that's a traditional, that is what we call most people's current plan. That's where people are using a tax deferred, meaning you put money into your IRA or a 401k and you defer the taxes to sometime in the future. And in this case, that's what the blue looks like. I won't get into the shape because we don't really have time today, but Bobby, if you'll hover on the green, this is what it looks like if you do Roth conversions and you convert your existing tax deferred IRAs into Roth, right? It turns into, for this particular client, $225,000 of reduced taxation. And that's what I call keeping more of what you've saved. And so the idea here is that what we've seen is statistically for $1 million, if a person had $1 million of tax deferred IRAs, and it could be combined, it could be you and your spouse, but the idea is $1 million. Generally, we can save them between $200,000 and $300,000 in federal taxes. Right. So imagine if you could reduce your tax bill 300 to 2 to 300,000 on $1 million, and it's scalable. So if you have 500,000 and you're approaching retirement, you could expect to save around $150,000. Scale it up. If you have more like $2 million, it could be as much as $600,000 that you could save in federal taxes during your retirement by using a Roth conversion strategy. And that strategy doesn't start the day you retire, it starts today. I always like to say, when's the best time to plant an oak tree? 30 years ago. When's the next best time to plant that oak tree? It's today. And so by engaging in Roth, whether you're 65 or 25, we can show you how Roth IRAs will keep more money in your pocket by paying less taxes. How's that? So I don't know if we got, hopefully that makes sense, but here's what we wanted to offer to everybody on the call. And that is that we would be happy. Our office is right near Barracks Road. We're just sort of diagonally across the street from the McDonald's on Arlington Boulevard. We share a parking lot with the UVA Credit Union. You probably know right where we are, but we'd be happy to do a 30-minute in-person meeting, a 30-minute Zoom meeting, or a 30-minute phone call just to show you what this would look like using your numbers and answer any questions that you might have. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you. So I want to welcome our first guest speaker, Lee Sillenberg. So Lee is a longtime Charlottesville resident and a 1975 University of Virginia graduate. Congrats, graduates. Returned to the area after 40 years of living in Pennsylvania. So following a 25-year career with Albemarle County, retiring as assistant county executive, she moved to Crozet in 2018. Lee remains active in the community through volunteer work with organizations such as the Downtown Crozet Initiative, which is developing a central plaza in downtown Crozet. So Lee, welcome. And can you introduce your guest speaker and give us your Crozet update?
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the chance to be here. My colleague Joe Four is also on the call. He's going to do the bulk of the presentation. I'll let you tell him a little bit about himself when we get to that point. But first of all, we wanted to let you know how much we appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all. Your organization and each of you as members are really critical partners to us and ambassadors for us in spreading the word about exciting things happening in Crozet. So we want to make sure you have the most up-to-date information and answer any questions that you might have. Obviously, you all already know that Crozet is a community with a lot of really great amenities. It's got attractive neighborhoods, proximity to Charlottesville, mountains, recreational opportunities, trail networks, outdoor destinations like orchards, and increasingly the 5 minutes away that we are from Route 151 and all the wineries, breweries, cideries, everything else is generating a lot of buzz for our area. So, given all that, even with all that, if there's one thing that it feels like Crozet has been lacking, that is a truly vibrant downtown with a sense of place that's really a hub and a centerpiece and a destination for all these other existing amenities that are already really attractive. We have lots of elements in place in Crozet for that vibrant downtown. We have existing and thriving businesses. We have the new library, new within the last 10 to 15 years. We have an upgraded streetscape. We have commercial buildings like Piedmont Place. We have programming going on there, the Crozet Book Festival, the Crozet Holiday Market Crawl, Crozet Arts and Crafts Festivals, and of course, a crown jewel that you're going to hear more about later, and that is the Crozet Park, which is in close proximity to downtown. So there is a lot there, but it has not really been pulled together with a hub or a gathering point that really defines who we are and gives people walkable opportunities. So until now, we haven't had that. But right now, there's some really exciting work underway to create that for downtown Crozet. And for that, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to Joe. He's going to give you an overview of some things going on there. And I'm not sure exactly if we'll take questions then or if we roll right into Crozet Park and then take questions afterwards, but we'll let the moderator tell us when we get to that point. So, Joe, if you'd like to introduce yourself and take over.
Great. Thanks very much, Lee. Yeah, so I'm Joe Four, a volunteer with the Downtown Crozet Initiative. Been living out here in Crozet for 11 years, which I think in Crozet terms makes me kind of an old timer, since so many folks are moving here all the time. In my day job, I'm a law professor here at the law school at UVA, so nothing related to this whatsoever. This is just purely volunteer work and caring about the community. So it's exciting to be involved and to get to work with people like Lee and so many great folks out here in Crozet. So I'm going to pull up, have a little PowerPoint that I'll walk through here. Let me share my screen if I can. There we go. And so, as Lee said, we're going to talk about two different projects that we have been working on, one in more detail and one that's supporting that to help bring a sense of place and help to develop downtown Crozet as a gathering spot and enhance what's already there. So we're going to talk about two things, which is the Crozet Plaza, that's the major project. And then the second one is a project we've been working on over the past 6 to 9 months to get some wayfinding signage in downtown along with this extra development to enhance that. So let's just start by looking at the current conditions. So what we are currently talking about, if y'all have been out to Crozet recently, what we're talking about here is downtown Crozet. So this is a aerial shot, a map. Over on the left-hand side, you'd see that's the JMRL, that's the library. On the north side, y'all, Crozet Pizza would be kind of on the north side near where it says Depot. And if you think about places like Mud House, or Far Downers, restaurants like that, or Piedmont Place, those are all on the left-hand side. The big colored spot here, this is the former Barnes Lumber Yard property. So Barnes Lumber operated a sawmill and it was a major employer in Crozet for decades, and then shut down in the early to mid 2000s. And so it's been abandoned. It's been a sort of a derelict property. And so the Plaza project is just one of this larger context of redevelopment of this Barnes Lumber property. So this is what it currently looks like today. And the reason I mention this is because the Plaza is part of this larger thing. So just to give you a sense of where this all is going. The first phase of this redevelopment project is actually already done. So some of you, if you've been out to Crozet in the past few months, you've noticed all new streetscape, paving, new parking lots, sidewalks, ADA accessibility in the square, Library Avenue, and Oak Street, all around Piedmont Place, over by the pharmacy, a new entrance and exit there by the Mud House along Crozet Avenue. So this project is done, and that's going to tie in with the larger road network that is going to happen next. So the next thing that will happen here is the phase one development of the Barnes Lumber property. This is going to include what you see here, which is major parts of the road network, including a connection over to Park Ridge, which allow people to get into downtown a bit more easily. And then two other aspects which would be really important, which is a couple of buildings, a small hotel, a mixed-use building, and then really the thing that we're focused on that the Downtown Crozet initiative has been helping out with, which is the Crozet Plaza. Just so you understand kind of how this works, the plaza itself, so the overall Barnes property is being redeveloped by a private developer known as CNTA or Milestone Partners, Crozet Newtown Associates. They are the developer on the project. But what they have done is they have agreed to donate the land for the plaza to the county. So that land will be essentially a county park. It will be owned by the county. And then the thought is that the Downtown Crozet Initiative, as a nonprofit entity, will be helping to raise money to develop it and manage it. So you can think of this is, I think a pretty common, this public-private partnership. Think of it again like the library, right? County owned, but you have friends of the library help to raise money. And then the park, right? It's kind of the inverse of this, where the land is privately owned and yet the county helps with managing and running some things and helping the operation. So this public-private partnership is already going on a lot in Crozet, and we're just another part of that. So we'll be raising money to add the elements to really bring the plaza to life. And then another aspect will be the thought is that the Downtown Crozet Initiative will be helping to manage and program the plaza, because this isn't just going to be a passive space. Much like our other spaces, like the park, it's going to be an active space. We plan on having, it's going to be a place for concerts and movies and festivals and potentially farmers markets and things like that. It's going to be a really active, vibrant space where people are going to gather. And we'll be able to offer a lot of complementary things to all of the wonderful things that Lee talked about, the festivals and the fairs and the concerts that are already going on. We can help sort of fill in some of those gaps and have complementary programming. So let's talk about what the plaza actually is. So this is the vision for the plaza. It is this active, vibrant, outdoor gathering space, this really third space, right, that we're all clamoring for, these places where we can gather. And so the overall project here, you can see, I'm going to go in and show you and talk briefly about each of these elements. But one of the nice things about the plaza is it really combines a lot of different uses in one space. So there are some very sort of programmed spaces. There's some more passive places for families, some more quieter places for sitting or reading. And so we'll go through each one of these, and I'll just briefly walk through kind of the different elements of the plaza. The main sort of central part of the plaza plan is the center lawn, right? This is kind of the hub where there will be sort of a concert pavilion. On the north side here, you see number 2, number 3. This would be sort of, timbered seating like you see down the left-hand side of this number 3. So think, kind of wood benches, this sort of tiered seating, an amphitheater-like where you can sit and watch a concert. You could have a movie going on. And one theme that you're going to see throughout here is the materials and the character of the space has been really thoughtfully designed to reflect Crozet and the Piedmont, right? So as I told you before, this is on the site of an old lumber yard. So you're going to see a lot of wood, timber, heavy lumber, like the materials. This isn't a lot of glass and metal. This is, things that reflect the character of Crozet. So you're going to see these granite seatings down there in number 5 along the bottom here to reflect the granite. We're in the mountains, we're in the Piedmont. So you're going to see stone, timber, and those natural materials throughout. So this is really kind of the centerpiece, this lawn. Then on the kind of, which is actually the west side of the project, but along the top here, is what we're calling the promenade. You can imagine this, you'll see here, think pergolas to offer a little shade, some table seating, string of lights going across for nighttime for illumination. It's a place for people a little more active. It's going to be closer to those mixed-use buildings in the hotel. So you can imagine lots of people going to shops or restaurants walking through here, not being so much in the plaza space, but kind of next to it, being able to look and see what's going on. And again, character-wise, we call this the railroad. It's going to Crozet. I don't know how many of you all know, it's named after Claudius Crozet, the guy who designed and built the first train tunnel through the Blue Ridge Mountains. So we are a train town. It's deep in our roots. So you'll see a lot of train motifs throughout here. So this will have some character elements of the train yard. Then on the north and south sides, we have a couple of areas that will be great for kind of kids and families. This one's a little bit more of an active space called the Rockfish Gap Play Yard. And so it may have some elements of sort of train-themed play spaces, some natural boulders or climbing areas, the big one that everybody's excited about, the splash pad, the kind of water feature where people can cool off. It's not going to be a kind of, the thought is not it's going to be sort of a water park with spray hoses and all that. It will be more natural. You can see here in number 4, it's something that's more of mimicking kind of a natural stream, where people can kind of get their feet in, get the kids' feet wet. I have a 5-year-old and 8-year-old, so I know how important that is in the summertime. Again, we're looking at very natural elements, stone, timber, nature kind of themed here. And then on the south side, a little bit more of a passive area. The thought is having some climbing boulders, maybe for slightly larger kids, a lot of shaded trees. This is what we're calling the Orchard Grove, as a nod to Crozet's, peach orchards and apple orchards that are so famous and longstanding out here. This is a more kind of passive sitting area, Adirondack chairs, small tables where people can just sit, take a break. Maybe the kids are out there playing, but it's a little bit more passive here. And then along the east side, what we're referring to as the Blue Ridge planting, some of us, we call this the botanical garden or the arboretum. And this is going to be an area with berms and natural plantings, native Blue Ridge plants, shrubs, a place to really, sit, read a book, a little bit quieter. So that's the thought there. We're not far. The English Meadows, retirement building is just across the street in downtown. So this might be a great place where we could have some of the folks who might be able to come over there and enjoy a little, quieter outdoors time in this kind of shaded seating area. So again, as you can see, these different aspects of the plaza, there's really kind of something for everyone. There's more active spaces, eating, drinking, meeting up. There's quieter spaces for sitting and reflecting. There's play areas for the kids, places for concerts and music. So it's a really versatile space, but something that really will bring in people from Crozet and from the outside community as well. So in terms of next steps, what's going on with the plaza? Well, as I mentioned, this is a public-private partnership. So there are things with the county and the Downtown Crozet Initiative and the developers. So there are some things to finalize there. I mean, the devil is in the details. There are a lot of things to hammer out about, who's going to pick up the trash and how often and who plows the snow and who, keeps the lights on and who fixes the bulbs. There's those little things about that we have to hammer out to finalize that agreement. So we know exactly what the various responsibilities are among the different parties. We have been, as the Downtown Crozet Initiative, I put earlier, we're responsible for raising about $1.5 million to help bring the space to life with all those furnitures and pavilions and all those elements and play spaces that'll help bring it to life. We've been in a quiet phase of that. We've received some private charitable contributions. We've received some major donations from private individuals and some smaller donations. Right now, we're about a third of a way to that $1.5 million goal. Although we've been in the sort of silent phase, we haven't been really actively out raising money very publicly. So if you're saying I haven't heard about this, well, it's been kind of quiet. We will be soon in the next probably 6 to 12 months launching the more public phase of the campaign, where we'll actually be going out in the community and raising more awareness and really sort of asking for funds more directly from people. And then, of course, we just got to wait on construction. So as I showed you before, the project is phased out. And the first phase is going to be building the road network. That has to happen first before we can do any sort of vertical construction. So right now, the road network construction is being bidded. The bids are out by the county, and then they'll wait to evaluate those bids. And so we have to wait for that road network construction to begin. And then some of that phase 1 building construction with the mixed use building, the hotel, and then the plaza should start around that same time. So if you're just thinking about, when is this coming? Well, if you're out in the Crozet area, when you see bulldozers and you see roads being built, then you can sort of start setting your watch and saying, okay, the plaza's right around the corner, because once that road network's built, then we can start with the vertical stuff. And then really quickly at the very end, I'll just go through this other project we've been working on, which is this wayfinding signage plan. Just a couple of minutes here. It's kind of short, but we got, as we're bringing more people to downtown, people coming to the plaza, people coming to all those great amenities that Lee mentioned, we have all, new people moving into town all the time, more people from Charlottesville coming out here, really wanting to build downtown Crozet as a destination, right? Give it a sense of place, but also very practically to help people navigate it. We're going to have more people driving and walking around downtown. And so the Crozet Master Plan, which governs, development and infrastructure investment in the Crozet area, one of the very first items that's in the infrastructure plan for Crozet's master plan is develop wayfinding signage in and around downtown to develop a sense of place and help people navigate its amenities. And rather than waiting for the county to just do that on its own, DCI, we sort of took the initiative. We threw in a grant request with Virginia Main Street, which is an organization run by the Commonwealth, and they gave us a grant. We got $15,000 from the Commonwealth to develop a plan for wayfinding signage to kind of figure out where would signs go and what might they look like. So we've been working with some, nationally renowned experts on wayfinding signage and downtown branding to think about where would they go. We just had a 2-day on-site meeting to walk around and talk and have meetings with various folks in the community and our county leaders to talk about what that might look like. So so you guys didn't get this in your pre-materials, but if I can, I'll give you a little sneak peek. We have gotten very preliminary design ideas about what these signs kind of might look like. These are just some very initial concepts, kind of blue sky stuff from designers. So please don't screenshot this and then run around saying, here's what the signs are going to look like, because they will not look like this. These are just initial concepts. But I'll show you some of the initial concepts of kind of what they might look like. This is what the designers have thrown at us. So, when the designers were here, the consultants were here, we talked about things like, what are the elements that Crozet is really all about, right? What is Crozet about? It's the mountains, it's nature, it's the railroad, it's those materials. So these are just some very preliminary ideas that these sign experts threw together. I will say, I think some of these are a little more artistic and a little more ambitious than they will ultimately end up being. I think they were sort of out there kind of throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall. I think the ultimate design will be quite a bit simpler. But these are just some real concepts. Thinking about the colors, obviously Blue Ridge, so keeping things blue. The idea of if you've been out to Crozet, we have these great street lights that have this sort of octagonal black metal design. So think about incorporating that so it's harmonious with the surroundings. And keeping it really simple. Actually, one of the things is if you've been out to Crozet, we have that wonderful, great mural on the side of the English Meadows, sort of a welcome to Crozet mural. And these signs, even the sort of like the fonts on here reflect that. Very similar to what we have in the Crozet Gazette and that mural. So keeping it simple, keeping the colors kind of straightforward and the materials really natural. So with the stone and the wood, again, we're very preliminary here. These were just initial concepts. We're going to go back and give feedback. We're getting feedback from lots of folks. We're going back to designers. Ultimately, they'll give us a couple of different kind of concept ideas, but I think they'll be quite a bit simpler than this. But this is just to get an idea of what might be coming. So this project right now, we're just at designing the plan. What could they look like and where could they go? Hopefully, once this plan is done, we'll be able to go back, maybe even to the Main Street organization, get another grant to maybe help fund the signs, and then go to the county for help in actually getting signs in the ground. Those would be coming contemporaneously with some of this redevelopment, right? So again, if you're saying, when is this coming? Roads come first, then the plaza and some of the redevelopment, and then probably the signage, which will help point people to those new amenities. So coming down the pike, lots of exciting stuff. Thank you all very much. I guess maybe we'll turn it back over. We can move on to the next one and maybe take some questions at the end if you had any.
We're doing okay for timeline. If anyone has anything specific to this project right now that they want to ask, we can take a few.
I just wanted to briefly, my name's Greg Slater. I've been following this for a long time. Is anybody forecasting this road issue with VDOT timeline to get to Tonka Toys moving, or is it still just the same as it's been for the last few years?
Well, no, the VDOT, so the road plan is finally approved. It's totally approved. So that's the hang up for a long time was getting approval on the VDOT plan. I know that one of the problems, right, was VDOT consistently wanted higher speeds on that Park Ridge connection. And there was a lot of back and forth with the county developer saying, look, this is a pedestrian friendly downtown area. And so there's a lot that road networks that the plan is approved. And it's just a matter of bidding it out and getting those acceptable bids. That's where they're at right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think, Greg, having worked with the county for many, many years, I know that sometimes things can appear to be dragging. I think the bid environment has been not real favorable for construction, but we're hoping that things will loosen up some this summer and into the fall, and companies will feel more willing to take the bid on and get it going. But I do want to say that there are roads that have been built and parking lots that have been put in and streets. So things are happening. It's never at the pace we want it to be, and we certainly understand that. But we hope that people will feel some sense of optimism and hopefulness that the county's committed to the project. VDOT has signed off on it, and hopefully things will get moving pretty quickly.
That's great. May I ask a sidebar, Lee? Did you used to have a different last name?
I did. It was Lee Catlin while I worked for the
Okay.
county.
I saw
Yeah.
you when you came on. I'm like, that looks like Lee
I
Catlin.
know that lady. Yes.
Been a minute.
Hey, Joe, are those road plans public? And if so, can you email them to me?
Um, yeah, I assume they are because it was the county was bidding it out, so whatever was
God
in the bid
forbid.
would be public. Um, I don't know where to. That's a good question. I don't know where to find them. But I know that the road network is being built, so they had to bid something. So that would be the thing, I guess, would be the bid proposal, the request for bids or whatever.
Yeah. And I think what's really important, Jim, and using you all again as ambassadors for this is a lot of what this project provides is connectivity. You're going to see bike paths, walking paths, roads to places that people have not been able to walk to the park from downtown or walk to all those neighborhoods back behind the lumber yard. So I'm hoping that people, if you do that half mile or mile radius from downtown, there are so many people within walking, biking, strollering distance that just don't have a way to get there yet. This project will be a big connectivity infrastructure development step.
And is in the meantime, is there any chance that the lumberyard can be cleaned up at all to support this and get people on board? Just riding my bike through glass every morning is
Yeah.
and the overgrowth is not a good selling point.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure, Jim. That's the developer owns that part, and I don't know. I think certainly the road network, cleaning up and grading is going to be a major part of that. So I think a lot of the demo and the cleanup will happen with that road. I'm not sure about the plans to actually clean up before that happens.
All right, well, let's move on. We can come back to more questions at the end here, but I want to give Jane Schutz some time to talk. She is here to talk about Crozet Park, and she serves as the treasurer for Crozet Park Board and chair of the Capital Campaign Committee. She grew up in Elon, North Carolina, and earned her degree from Wake Forest University and has dedicated 35 years to serving the United Methodist Churches in the Charlotte area as the director of music. But she's also the co-founder and former executive director of Pineville Neighbors Place, where she spent 7 years supporting individuals experiencing poverty and homelessness. In retirement, James remains active in her community through volunteer work at the park, her church, and the Haven. Welcome, Jane. Are you there, Jane? Oh, you're muted. Yes.
Thank you very much. Do you have my PowerPoint?
Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany has it. Okay. Well, obviously things are hopping. Thank you so much, Lee and Joe. It's so exciting to see what's going to be happening around downtown. And we want to just give you a quick update about what's going to be happening at the park. Do we have that presentation?
I will look for it, Jane.
Oh.
I don't know if you sent it to Teresa or not.
I did,
Okay.
but let me see. I can.
We'll see if I can find that for you.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that.
If not, I've got it. There, can you see it?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
No problem. And hopefully, let's see if I'll be able to go through that. That's going to be interesting. Okay, we're going to figure out how we're going to do this. Okay, anyway, so we are excited about what is going on at Crozet Park because, and this is not going to be what I want to share because that is not the presentation. That's what I want to share. I'm sorry, guys. I sent the presentation ahead of time, and now we've got to figure out how to Now, can you see that? You see the Our Park, Our Future, Our Crozet?
We see shared with me site plans, renderings. It's
Okay, so I am not going to share them because I don't want you to see something that is not what you need to see. Stop share. Okay, so you're gonna listen to me, and I'm gonna send you. I'll send you later to a website that will show you better what we have going on. So Crozet Park has been around since 1957. And all those years been a gathering place for the community. And it has grown and grown. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We're not a county park, which has positioned us in a unique place to be able to provide what the community needs and what we feel like is affordable and accessible recreation for everybody in everything we do. We know things are hopping in Crozet, and there's so much growth. And with that, we know that now is a time that we have to grow our facilities. Our facilities are at capacity. We are the second most visited park in the county. This past weekend, we had our Spring Arts and Crafts Festival with a record.
I'm sorry, Jane, is this it?
Let's see. Yes, that's it. Yay, good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you so much for finding it. Okay, so if you'll go to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so there's where we are. So growing. We just had our Spring Arts and Crafts Festival, and had over 7,600 paid people there, and then volunteers and vendors on top of that. So it was an amazing time for the community to come together and have a great time. We are the second most visited park in Albemarle County, second only to Darden-Tow. We represent 28 zip codes served. And then in the summertime, when we're at our peak, we have over 3,000 members. Next slide, please.
All right.
But we are at capacity. These are our 4 pillars. These are what we base all our decisions on as a nonprofit. First of all, that we are affordable and accessible. It is very important to us that everybody be able to participate in the recreation that we offer at the park. So there are scholarships on a sliding scale basis to participate, whether it be through our Gator Swim program, Peachtree, or fitness memberships, whatever it is, we want to make sure that people can afford and come to what the park offers. We are also very involved in youth health and wellness. And with this new project, we are planning with a new indoor pool on offering free swim lessons to all our first and second graders, and lessening the risk of death by drowning for our children. We also are very involved with our seniors. We have about 24% of our residents in our area are seniors. And so we want to make sure that they have availability for the fitness that they need. But also we are partnering with the Center at Belvedere in Charlottesville to bring out some of their excellent programming to our area. And then we are very involved in supporting our community. So we are partners with the DCI and working with them to make sure that we are all connected and doing what's best for Crozet. But we also work with Crozet Trails crew so that accessibility to the park is supported, and this project will help provide further support for that. Next slide, please. So here's some renderings. We're going to go from what we like to call our hotel size fitness center with very little equipment to a 45,000 square foot 2-story building. So you'll see in there we'll have an 8-lane indoor pool. We will keep our outdoor pool, but we will no longer use the dome to cover it. It will be instead a seasonal pool. We'll have an elevated walking track so we can keep on walking no matter what the weather is, a multi-purpose gym with lines for indoor pickleball and basketball. We will have a child care center. So right now we have an after school care and summer care for our kids. We will be able to expand that from 70 kids to 150 children. We will have multiple fitness spaces, but also we're very focused on having community spaces, places where people can gather to come together for classes or clubs, or just after they've taken a walk around the park to gather with their friends, just to kind of cool off or get a cup of coffee afterwards. So that the community spaces will be open to members and non-members alike as we build this sense of community in the Crozet area. Next slide, please. So here are some of the things that we're planning to offer. There's some additional programming. Right now, we're very limited with one group exercise room and very small space. But here are some of just the things that we plan to offer with this new expanded space. Next slide, please. So we've been working on this for the last 5 years, and we've had a lot of community input, a lot of talking to a lot of experts, refining plans, listening, and the plans now are really ready to go. And so they will go out to bid the end of this month. And then we're hoping to have a contractor in place by the end of July. So we are moving and shaking. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so here's the site. You can notice that it'll be like an L-shaped building. The short part of the L will be kind of, if you're familiar with the park, kind of where the preschool playground is, and then the long part of the building will run along the side, the existing pool. This allows us to keep the existing facilities open while we are building the new building. So there should be very little impact to people being able to continue their fitness routines while we're under construction. And we also will be opening up, we've got approval from the county to open up the back exit onto Hilltop, which has been gated for most of the time, but this will improve traffic flow with the opening of Park Ridge, so people entering from 240 and Park Ridge will become able to come into the park without having to go all the way around Park Road. Next, please. Okay, so here you see an overview of the floor plans. 8-lane indoor pool, fitness area, gym area, and childcare area on the first floor. Second floor will have that elevated walking track, observation decks for the pools, and more fitness area and community rooms. Next, please. Okay, so here's where we are. The project, this is a kind of an odd thing. The project is way ahead of the fundraising. We've never had to raise funds before because the boards in the past have been so strategic in their planning that we haven't had to ask the community for donations. But we are now. So we are in our fundraising campaign right now, and we're talking to major donors, looking for those major gifts. We were just awarded a Perry grant from the Perry Foundation, and so we're very excited about that. If our plans go the way we plan to, we expect to break ground in early of 2027. It's about a 15-month project, so we plan to be open by summer of 2028. Next slide, please. The project total is $23 million. We expect to raise $15 million of that and do a bank loan for $8 million. We partner with ACAC to run our fitness programs, and as a result of that, they pay us a monthly lease. And so the loan payments will be covered by that monthly lease, plus we will be getting a little bit more, and the little bit more will enable us to funnel some money back into the community and support the other community partners that we have. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're talking to some major donors, getting our money lined up, going to our stakeholders and making sure everybody has a chance to participate in this. And then we hope to break ground soon. And we just appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jane. Very exciting. I think we can open it up to any further questions for Jane, or if you've thought of anything else for Joe, by all means, please unmute and fire away.
Hi, Jane. There you are. I lost you when all the faces or the lack of faces came back up on the screen. Can we dive a little deeper into your fundraising campaign? Are you able to speak about where you are in your goal achievement?
So we are about a half a million in because we've been in our very quiet phase, and so we have some people who are some high capacity donors who are very interested in the project and haven't quite written the check yet, but we are on the verge.
Right on.
So we're gonna have so some people do multi-year capital campaigns. We are into the intense 9 month lose your brains kind of campaign. And so here we go. We're gonna do it.
Yeah. Fundraising is hard.
Yes, but we're going to do it short and sweet. And the great thing is, once we raise this initial 15 million, the 8 million will be paid by the lease. So we won't have to do, a lot of times when nonprofits build buildings, they then have to keep fundraising year after year to pay the loan. We won't have to do that.
So, not to get political, but this is all privately funded, or is the county picking up any of the tab?
The county has not chosen to come on board yet. We have submitted a CIP request for the last 4 years. We'll submit another one this year. We do think that they will want to be part of this project, maybe at the end. But so far, they've chosen not to.
What's the best way to find out the communication around fundraising, or will it hit us all that live out here pretty soon? How will we hear about it, and how do we share and support it?
That's awesome. Thank you very much. So we have our website's probably the best source of information. So I'm going to put that into the chat. And you can send people there. And then you can always reach out if you're part of any organizations that would love to hear. I mean, and I have to recognize another one of our board members is on the call, Marie Westbrook. We are talking to people all the time, and that's what I don't get paid to do. But that's what I do all the time is talk to people. So anybody that you know who would be interested in the community, we're trying to talk to HOAs and churches and realtors and developers and the swim community, everybody.
Right on. Thank you.
But the website is really excellent. So that's probably the best place to send people.
Yeah. Thanks for all the work you're doing.
Sure. Thanks, Greg.
If that's all, is that all?
I maybe have a question back to you all. Hearing what you've heard for the last 40, 45 minutes about these things underway, is there any feedback, advice, guidance that you might give us based on what you hear from people both out of the area and in the area that are considering Crozet as a place to be?
As someone who's been promoting Crozet, like I talked about before, some of you are on the call, it goes back to the late 90s, right, when Gray Rock was being developed. And I've lived here since 2009. And I've been telling the stories of Crozet. I was the owner of the Crozet Creamer for 7 years, telling the story of the plaza and, showing people the future interconnectivity of Crozet and the infrastructure. I don't know if people believe me anymore.
Right.
It's taken
Yeah.
so long. But yeah, and there's a little bit of pushback around here for how things get paid for and infrastructure versus rezonings for new communities and all that. But in general, my feedback is let's get the word out more about this park. I haven't seen this content yet, and I knew there was a fundraising campaign. I know the Fire and Rescue Squad is getting ready to kick off a long-term fundraising goal for their new facilities, and I think we just need to. It's remarkable to me when I show people the side of Crozet that will be impacted on the other side of downtown from like the old trail side of Crozet. That side of it's almost like it's two Crozets. When I take newcomers to the area and show them both sides and explain how it's all going to be connected to downtown, it makes it make more sense. And I often comment, I could bring 100 people from Old Trail and drive them around the other side of Crozet, and they'd have no idea about anything I'm talking about. So getting the word out is the hard part, and I would like to be a part of helping with that. So any of you are welcome to reach out and talk to me about it.
Okay, well, thank you. Jane shared the link to the park if you wanted to keep up to date on fundraising. Jim, your link to the road network is also in the chat.
I've also shared Jane's presentation as well.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Marie Westbrook. I'm a colleague of Jane. Just a quick question. We have some pretty beautifully done brochures, and I'm just wondering whether the realtor community would find that useful to have brochures to share that actually show and tell what's planned for Crozet Park.
Yes, and how to distribute that, I guess. I took that PDF that just went up by Jane, and I plan on sharing with people and figuring out how to use it. But we can put our heads together and figure out how to reach more, even if it's just the more Western Albemarle focused realtors that live out here, something like that. But yeah, we should think about that. That's good content. And the more we can do for conversations about this stuff that we can create under video format that can be used in social medias and other environments and get shared, I think is all stuff we could probably work on together.
And Greg, remember, as a realtor member, you have access to our CAR Facebook group with, I would imagine 800 some odd members. If that brochure is in PDF form, you can share it or.
Yeah, so I want to look into this a little more and figure out, I mean, if someone's interested in this park information and or donating, is that website clear on points of contact and people they can talk to? Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yes.
Got to know where when we make a match, we got to know where to point them, right?
Absolutely. But we'll talk some more too to make sure you have all the information you need.
You're welcome to reach out to me.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone who participated this morning. Thanks for the great questions. That was really exciting information. Crozet is going to turn into Manhattan here in a minute. But our next Latte and Learn is scheduled for Friday, September 4th. So taking the summer off, but we're going to be identifying possible appraisal issues while touring homes with buyers. So join us on Friday, September 4th. And unless there's any final questions, I think we can say have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to be visiting with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Melissa.
Yep.
I appreciate I just now saw your email.
Oh. I was like, I know I have it.